Welcome YouTube. Welcome to the Duke Now channel. This podcast is here with my friend Jesse over here. Jesse, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Jesse Carmona, and I am here at Rio Hondo as a student, and actually will be going to Long Beach State next year, hopefully, if I pass stats. But actually, you look at me and say, "Oh, what's this old guy doing there?" And actually, I came back to school after 37 years, and I was a broadcast major, so I'm going to interest.
All right, cool. So this week's topic is gonna be on Hollywood whitewashing movies. Question mark. I was gonna bring my friend Jake in here because he's very also interested into the topic and he has a great opinions, but he couldn't make it. But I have Jesse with you, and of course, we're gonna. We were talking earlier today in the cafeteria, and I was just telling you, wow, there's so many movies that are considered whitewashed. And,
big time.
So let's start off with like the definition of whitewashing, and here's the definition I found in the internet: is whitewashing is a casting practice in the film industry of the United States in which white actors are cast in historically non-white character roles.
And it's very simple: white, brown.
right.
Okay, so we can get the white and make it brown on the movies. Okay,
right.
So
yeah, that's that's a good way to put it, I guess. But yeah, so that's the definition itself of whitewashing. But the reason why we're doing this this topic is because like the new movie Ghost in the Shell came out with Scarlett Johansson.
Okay.
Of course, the anime is based. The movie is based on an anime, and the anime is actually they're all Japanese characters. They're all Asian pretty much. And so when this real portrayed of the anime comes out, people are expecting an Asian female to play the role of the main character, but instead they cast a white American actress, of course, Scarlett Johansson. So I know you still haven't seen the movie yet, so
no, but I honestly give you a point on just listening to you. The fact is, no one's going to watch a bunch of Asians on cartoons or movies. They're not. Okay, that's what we've been since I grew up. Have been basically brainwashed to watch. I mean, I watched Leave It to Beaver and Ozzie and Harriet, Black and Whites, and Eddie on Munster and on the Munsters. Where it was interesting because even back then, you can even get away with saying certain things like Grandpa saying wetback. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, it was crazy. But that's off topic. What I really want to talk about is the fact, like I said, money is what the industry is all about. Right. And stereotyping is definitely.
So you don't think people are gonna pay to see a movie with what's called an Asian protagonist?
Chances are no, they're not. I mean, people will probably disagree, but I think your generation is changing that, which is I applaud. I think it's great. I think diversity in the industry should be here. It's way behind, as you can see a couple of years ago in the Academy Awards, where all the African Americans were complaining. But unfortunately, they don't even realize the Hispanic Mexican Americans, or whatever you want to call us, it's probably like 0.5% in the Academy Awards. Yeah. So, but no one raised the voice because, again, no one knows. It's a hidden secret. Now, I heard this year that they changed the Academy Award policy with people who vote. This year again, I think the Africans or Americans were happier because they had a bigger attendance here. But again, it was, what about the director or the Hispanic? Oh yeah, the one director back to back shows you what ability that diversity or other races have if you just give them the opportunity. But we talk about whitewash; it's very true. It goes back in history. We can go back when most Indians were played by white people. Okay.
Right.
How are you? How are you? It's like sad because the Native Americans weren't even considered.
You mentioned that. Back 50s, 60s, white actors played different type of what's called races, Asian, African American. What else? Hispanic, Native American, things like that. And so I wanted to go back in a movie that you're very familiar with, which is the Ten Commandments.
We'll go there. I'm sorry, but I just because it comes to my head, and of course we're doing a live.
Go ahead.
Amos and Andy.
I'm sorry, what?
Amos and Andy. You ever hear of Amos and Andy?
Nah.
Okay, we're going back into the 50s.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So we're gonna go a little further back. We're gonna get to the Ten Commandments because that's gonna be fun. But Amos and Andy was a radio talk show,
Okay.
which, believe it or not, was like Rochester. They sounded black. And
Right.
and you're like, oh man, black guys. But actually, they were white. They were white, and
Really?
no one knew that because it was on radio. You
Right,
can't
right.
talk,
Mhm.
and they could talk the way they did in old
Mhm.
days. Hey, oh river man,
Mhm.
things like that.
Right.
But anyway, it became a television show for Channel 2, CBS, who I work for, by the way.
Mhm.
And I have the photo. God, I would have brought the photo. I just didn't even think about it.
Well,
But you see,
send me the photo and then I'll put it up.
oh,
right
it's
here.
amazing.
Okay.
The photo is two guys
Mhm.
in blackface.
No way.
Yes, they're in blackface, and they were the original Amos and Andy. And people were back then
Right.
were getting kind of like, "What this is BS."
Uh-huh.
So Amos and Andy, the producers, decided to actually cast a whole black cast. So it changed from the
Mhm.
two white guys on radio to two white guys on blackface to actually African Americans playing Amos and
Mhm.
Andy. And I have that photo too, by the way.
Really?
Yes, and we'll get them to you.
Okay, cool.
But that's where a lot of it started. I mean,
Really?
it's sad, I mean, the first Academy Award, I think that was won by an African American woman, was for Gone with the Wind.
Mhm.
She played the maid.
Right,
I mean,
right.
She was stereotyped as a maid,
Right,
but at
right.
least she had the opportunity.
To play.
Sidney Poitier was another African American who was definitely up. I mean, God, Lilies of the Field. I mean, he was awesome, black and white movie.
Mhm.
And back then, it was he was a smart, black, educated man who he did contracting, but it was a great movie.
Mhm.
And Lilies in the Field, by the way, if you didn't remember it. And of course, now you're up to Denzel Washington.
So yeah, right. You get Denzel Washington, you get Eddie Murphy, you get
Mhm.
was Chris Rock, you get all these amazing actors and comedians. But let me ask you this. So I don't know. What I was thinking is maybe back then the film industry wasn't as big as it is right now.
Oh, it's always been big.
It's
It
always
always
been big?
has been big. From Charlie Chaplin,
Yeah.
the money has always been there. Hollywood has grown through the years.
Mhm.
Back then, yes, it was.
Would you say that there was actually like, because nowadays we get diversity of actors everywhere. But do you think back
it's
then?
getting better.
Do you
Okay, it's getting better because if
Yeah.
you go to a set,
Mhm.
anytime you go through Hollywood or something like that, and you're seeing a movie, take a look who's behind the camera. That's
Yeah.
all you have to do, or look at the credits. Don't get
Mhm.
me wrong. Even novelas back
Mhm.
in the 80s and everything, you would see the credits and it would basically be all Caucasian.
Right.
When I worked at Channel 2, what changed a lot of it was affirmative action, which basically was telling you have to hire minorities.
Really?
Yes, the minorities that were security guards, janitors, some were lucky enough to go get an education and learn about the trade, and they were
Mhm.
hired right away. They came in that short window, and they became union, and that was in the back
Right.
of the camera.
Mm-hmm.
In front of the camera, it was still a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And I think today it is getting better.
Right.
You're having people doing their own production, like on Ice
Right.
Cube,
Mm-hmm.
and and those shows. But if you notice, they still stereotype their people.
Very true, man. I mean, stereotype has been, since the beginning of time, and but my question is, back in the 50s and 60s, do you think there was as much diversity in actors as there is right now? Or do you think that maybe 99.9% of the actors back then were all white?
Oh, well, you've got to look at television. I mean, you got to see it, not just in television, but in films. I mean, cowboy movies
Right.
were big back then.
Mhm.
Gangster movies were big back then.
Mhm.
You're not going to see a Latino holding
Right.
a gun, a Tommy gun or something. You're going
Uh-huh.
to see basically a white Italian probably
Mhm.
playing that role.
Mhm.
James Cagney was an awesome. Edward G. Robinson, who we're going to talk about with the Ten Commandments, which is
Right.
the most terribly cast movie ever. Sisu DeMille, it was a fantastic movie. It's shown every year.
Yeah.
But just look at the characters,
Mhm.
and we can talk about that
Right.
now, because Edward G. Robinson was a gangster,
Mhm.
like James Cagney. I mean,
Mhm.
and Humphrey Bogart. they were classic gangsters in black and white. When the movie was casted, Edward G. Robinson. And as a gangster, I'll do an impression
Right.
of him. Say, "All right, you dirty guys, we're gonna
Right.
We're gonna get you dirty guys, and we're gonna take care of you dirty guys." And so it was pretty cool for a gangster part.
Yeah, that's
But when he became in the Ten Commandments, hey, Moses, you asked too much of us, Moses. Hey, Moses, the Messiah. You know, like, what the heck, you know?
Oh, man.
It was the funniest thing to see.
It's one of the worst guys.
Yeah, that was one. And Yul Brenner was pretty, Moses, you asked too much of us. You know, like, I mean, he was a Canaanite. He was, I mean, he was actually played the part well. Charleston Heston was also, I mean, the stereotyping of these actors are unbelievable.
Right, man.
You know, Heston, the hand of God. You know, like, what the heck? You
I recommend you guys go see the movie.
If you want a good laugh.
Yeah, a good laugh.
Poorly
go
done.
watch. Go
Poorly
watch
done.
it.
Motion of the acting is almost like, you want a video. Moses on the water. Their hands are popping, their eyes are opening up, and we're like tripping out. There's somebody actually looking in the camera like this, you know.
You mentioned that they put it like almost every year. That movie,
it's on every year during I think Easter,
or
Easter,
or Christmas, or
another movie. What a Wonderful Life.
Right. There you go.
Okay, James Cagney, Potter, you know, Mr. Paul. Okay, hear me? I'm sorry.
But go ahead.
George Bailey. I don't know if you can hear some of the impressions here. My mic is actually falling down, so it's okay. We'll fix it. Make a quick adjustment. You're also the technician here, and he does probably one of the best jobs I've ever seen a young man do. I mean, I call him young man because he is young and I'm old. But the fact is that I give him so much credit, and I hope your podcasts continue and get more successful. And I think you will. I think you have a bright future. But I want to, since you're a fixed house, just give compliments. You have to give compliments to people who work doing this stuff. Because if you don't, and I think my mic is falling again. So I'm just going to hold it. Okay, we'll do that. Cool. And anyway, the fact is this. Watching these black and white movies is the foundation. Mm-hmm. And when they went to Technicolor, it was still there. But the difference is, in black and white, you can't tell who's black, who's white.
Right.
You know, in color, you can actually skin color. You can actually see it.
Right.
So we can even go to quick. If you want to watch basic stereotype whitewash movies, watch black and white. It's okay. That's the way the industry was back in the 40s. I mean, we'll go even further back. Charlie Chaplin. You know, you're not going to see very few. The African American came first. They played maids, butlers. Right. I mean, that's why if you see Django,
right?
How much? Oh my God, how much tax did that movie get?
Yeah,
because but the fact is that's the way history was, and he portrayed it. Quentin
Tarantino said that he kind of like went a little bit. He kind of like toned down. Because like
oh my God,
yeah, I know. Like, you're probably wondering like, what, tone down what?
I want to see the unedited version there.
So he said that the theatrical version is a little toned down version.
Wow.
What it's called? He says that of course slavery was way worse than that. But we got a small sample of that.
I agree because he's the kind of guy that will do his research. And the fact that unfortunately, the sad part about being younger today, you didn't live it, and that's the difference. There's an old saying: "Unless you walk in my moccasins, you really know what I didn't go through."
Right.
You know, and the fact that you guys are, but you can learn this stuff now more, like the Holocaust. You go to the Intolerance Museum there in L.A. I still want to go in there, but I know I'm going to be very emotional about it.
Right.
But the fact is, what most of the Jewish people went through is sad. I mean, when Steven Spielberg did the movie on Schindler's List, it portrayed, I think, pretty close to what really happened, because he was doing his research by the people that were actually still alive that went through it. And so the movies in general can teach you a lot. Yeah. I mean, what we talk about today's topic is whitewash. And the fact is, I'm hoping your generation will, I'm going to still try it till the day I die.
Let's go back to the whitewashing thing from Hollywood. Do you think it's a problem?
Big time.
Yeah.
Because, well, it's a problem for people who don't get the opportunity, that their children might not get opportunity. But I think I said this in one podcast before, is that like my son, he's a musician, self-taught. He couldn't afford schools, private schools and all that stuff. Even though he did go to Vanguard University and ended up getting a degree, he's self-taught and he's excellent. He's growing every day. He has a family. And the greatest thing about it is that his daughters are part Swiss and part Mexican American, part Navajo.
Nice.
And so they're going to grow up.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking actually last night, and he was telling me that I want my kids to learn Spanish. I go,
Mm-hmm.
great. It's not just because it's Spanish, but it's good to learn another language. Because you never know when you're going to have to go order tacos, But on that, that's besides that. But the fact that I think people, I mean, I grew up in a generation again because of Leave It to Beaver and Ozzy and Harriet. This is where it's a disadvantage.
Mm-hmm.
That I was taught not to speak Spanish because I was watching Ozzy and Harriet Leave It to Beaver. Don't speak Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
Don't speak Spanish. Okay. So I go into a restaurant and say, "Hey, Pedro, what do you want?" Well, yeah. I don't know what to say because I'm like, I'm sorry. Even African American restaurants back then, they were just as racist, and people don't even know this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I walk in there, we're not gonna serve you. Get out of here. Oh shit. Okay. And I was with my African American friends,
Mm-hmm.
and that's sad because that's what television will do to you. It did to me.
So. You think it's a problem?
Oh yeah.
So that's a yes. Let me kind of go to a movie that came out in 2008 called 21 about the car plane.
Oh yes,
okay.
yes.
So I mentioned this in the cafe to you, but of course that movie is considered whitewashed just because it was based on a true story and where a group of Asian American
those dang Asians, man. I'll tell you, man. I give you. I'm not saying it's bad. It's good. But you go ahead, continue,
okay.
and I'll make my comment.
So. You think it's bad, and in some ways, I do think it's whitewashing movies is pretty bad too. But let me tell you this one thing. So, of course, the main character is the one that's really smart, the one that counts cards, and of course, is the protagonist of the movie. He is played Jeff Ma, which is the guy who's the movie's based on. He's actually Asian American, and he said that he didn't mind. A white.
He got paid.
You think so? He says, and I quote, I would have been more insulted if they had chosen someone who was Japanese or Korean just to have an Asian playing me.
Oh God!
That's what he said.
The check cleared. I'm sorry.
You don't think so?
No, because I mean, think about it.
What's up?
Okay. You want to be people look up to you,
mm-hmm.
Your kids or future kids and everything,
mm-hmm.
and to tell them that, hey, I'm gonna let someone play me because it's better.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what's that telling that kid? Oh, you're next. Let someone play you. What's next? You let someone play you. That's bullshit. I'm sorry. That's the way I feel. I think you should be proud of your race.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever you are. I mean, look, we have a president of the United States, Trump, who, he's our president, but,
right.
We'll see what happens there. But he married a foreigner,
right?
And, barely spoke English. But I can guarantee you this. There's a lot of little girls out there looking at her saying, I could be the next.
True. And that's what whitewashing kind of does. It kind of makes people that are not that race kind of say, wow, I kind of want to be that race just because of how they're portraying in the media, how they're almost, I wouldn't say perfect, but they're the good image, right? That needs to show.
You're not going to join the party unless you're invited, okay? Let's just say that. I mean, that's just the way it works in any industry, not just in Hollywood, but
right.
If you don't know the right person and they say, hey, when I received my first job, good job, really, at Channel 2, I remember it was 3 people that helped me. Mm-hmm. It was Greg Valenzuela, Chicano, who from East LA, right. And Dolores Christensen, African-American woman, and Al Landau, who was a Jewish vice president. Right. And Al basically said, and then actually I had an interview with other people where they even told him, why you hire that guy? No, don't hire him. But Greg stood up for me. He said, come in a couple of weeks. You had to have a bachelor's degree, by the way. And I had an AA. But what I'm trying to tell you is the stereotyping back then, even then, and still now, it exists. The only difference is covered up more.
Right.
I mean, you can't go and call somebody anything negative because it'll be on a podcast.
Right. So do you really believe that Jeff Ma, which is of course the Chinese American, that 21 movie, the movie 21 is based off? Do you really think he just said that just to kind of
He got
avoid
paid.
just
He got
avoid that
paid.
problem? In
No,
the
no,
movie?
no, no. I think traditionally he just got money.
You think so?
And yeah, because that's another way to look at it. I mean, if like James Olmos and all these actors who've been through or Cheech Marin on Cheech and Chong fame and Tommy Chong, all these George Lopez, all these Hispanics, Derek Estrada, they all made money, and they knew what feet not to step on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they weren't fighters. To me, they weren't. They used the race, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Raldo Rivera, man, Raldo Rivera's on TV. I didn't know. Hey, he looks Hispanic. Hey, no, I'm Jewish. True.
Right,
Eric Estrada,
right.
man, Eric Estrada, great guy. Oh, no, I'm Puerto Rican,
Mm-hmm.
Or it just went on and on. Where is the Mexicans at,
Right.
but yet they were portraying Mexicans.
Mm-hmm.
Poncherello, I mean, come on, I'm like, well, if the fact is, think about this.
Mm-hmm.
Just think about this for a second. 10 seconds.
10 seconds. 1, 2, 3,
That-
4, 5. Okay.
That if we, as a minority
Right.
or diversity, whatever
Mhm.
culture we have,
Mm-hmm.
and you say, I'm going to stop watching a movie because I don't have any representation in that movie,
Mm-hmm.
what do you think would happen to the industry? Big time. Now, you know what their counter's going to
just go
say?
down.
You know what their counter's going to say? They're going to say, well, if we don't work, the people who give us food, the people who work behind the camera, some of our Mexicans too, are not going to get work. Yeah, you can argue with that point too.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be their counter actually.
Right.
Like they're doing about the minimum wage BS, and
Right.
if you raise the minimum wage, we're going to cut jobs. And guess what, man? You've been cutting jobs for years, so don't give me that BS. You have a bottom line. We lost $2 million. No, you didn't lose 2. You projected that you were going to make $4 million, and you made 2. You lost $2 million now. So come on, the fact is, the industry is based on connections,
Mm-hmm.
power,
Mhm.
money. And I want to put it in that order, but just think about it. It's the facts are right in front of you.
Mhm.
So when we talk about the subject of whitewashing, the fact is that it's getting better.
Okay.
I'll give that. Fences on was
Right.
a
Right.
play.
You're starting to see more diversity in these kind of movies, and you start to see like movies that are based on true stories now. Like especially what's that movie called? That's dang, I forgot the movie called. It's about those female astronauts.
I honestly I don't even know
the
about
ones,
it.
the ones that like work in NASA, and
Now let me ask you: any
Ooh.
Hispanics in there?
they're all African American.
Okay,
Like,
all
so
right.
It's based on a true story. But let me let's finish off the podcast by. So you're saying it's getting better now.
It's improving a tiny bit.
Tiny bit.
Tiny
Okay.
bit.
Gotcha.
I'll give that. But
Okay.
like I said, the day that I see,
Mhm.
like even television, they got that Asian show. I haven't watched it yet. Christilla was on for a short time. I think on Fluffy,
Mhm.
on Gabriel Iglesias is going to have a show, but he's right now in rehab because he had some problem, I guess, with his weight.
Mhm.
So I think hopefully, at least before I die,
Mhm.
that it'll be more diverse. And like I
Okay.
said, I see the future of that.
So,
Especially you doing your
so to tell you right now, it is getting better. I mean, if you compare 1950s, 60s to right now, you can
yeah.
see the big difference. But I'll tell you why it's not getting better. Of course, I think
You're telling me or you're telling them?
I'm telling you, but I can also tell you. It's called, there's this anime called Death Note, and so an anime is from Japan, and it came. I think this one, Death Note, I think came out like in 2007. I think it's a pretty old anime show. Anyways, Netflix is gonna make a new series, right? And so this
Hey, Netflix.
yeah, right. Netflix is doing great with their shows, but of course they kind of they're kind of whitewashing it also, because if you see the
Boo, Netflix.
like the protagonist in the anime, he's Japanese. It all takes place in Japan. I presume it's Tokyo. Of course they cast a white male to play the Asian American. They also there's this they kind of switched a little bit things when it comes to the okay, so the protagonist in this movie, gotta watch the anime if you're into like like dramas. Are you into like crime, those kind of like detective kind of
I live that every day. What are you talking
Okay,
about?
so if you're into that, guys,
I don't need to watch it. I live it.
Okay, if you guys want to watch Death Note, you still haven't already, I recommend you watch it. It doesn't. It involves like underworld things, paranormal things, but at the root of the anime is all about like, because the protagonist is also the antagonist.
Oh. Okay.
So he's kind of Death Note is about, he picks up this book that apparently if you write someone's name on it, they'll die in 60 seconds.
Oh, so I think I heard about
okay,
it. I heard about it. That sounds pretty cool,
so
man. Let's write our name, like the ring. You're talking like the ring right here,
right,
huh?
Right.
You're dying in 7
so
days.
The character kind of convinces himself that if he gets rid of all the bad people in the world, we're gonna live a world there's no crime. It's gonna be it's gonna be utopia. So he kind of becomes that. He becomes the executioner and judge and jury. And he
isn't Dexter like that?
But it then the protagonist slash look. It's really hard to like kind of. Yes, the main character is the antagonist in so many ways.
So you got
but
Dexter, the ring.
You're rooting for him because
like Dexter. Right?
Yeah.
I haven't seen Dexter, but I heard that's exactly what Dexter's
it's kind of like Dexter. You're rooting for this guy to kind of like succeed, but at the same time,
so the Punisher's in it too. I'm sorry to do this to you, but you're throwing these things at me, and I'm like thinking of this movie and that movie and this movie.
But this so let me kind of go back to the casting. So there's this guy named L. He's a detective in the anime, and he's also Asian, or Japanese descent, and he is really smart guy. He pretty much solved every complicated case in Japan. He's very smart. He's just like a teenager right now. He's still going to high school, but he's above every kind of kid in Japan and probably the world. And he's a very good detective. And of course, he's Asian American. I mean, he's Asian or Japanese in the anime. Now they cast a black guy for him in the show. Well, so they're kind of like
power to my brothers. Power to my brothers.
So they're kind of like mixing it up a little bit. It's not like they're full on whitewashing it. They're adding kind of like their spin on it.
That's okay because, like I said, you're not gonna watch a movie or show with a bunch of Asians. I'm sorry, blacks because there's a lot more. Mexicans, like I said, if they just wake up, and say, hey, let's get together and let's change this, it's gonna get better. I mean. Like I said, the fact is in the pudding. Look at the movies. A lot of crap. I mean, of course, one of our favorite was John Wick.
John Wick.
And, but again, Keanu Reeves is a good man. You could see it. He portrays what he actually is on the screen. And I think it's going to just take time. Now, I'm going to give you the biggest. We're going to try something here.
Right.
When you put your post for this broadcast, I want you to put a picture of a bikini girl. No, trust me on this. Trust me on this. I'm saying. Well, you do what you want to do.
Okay.
But I'm just saying the fact is this. I guarantee you, the minute people who are watching this right now, that if they see that, you're going to get a lot of hits because that's what stereotyping is about. And that's what I'm trying to make a point at.
Yeah, just to point something out, there's this video I posted with my friend.
Yeah, Isabel, I know. I even looked at it. Hey, come on.
The thumbnail that I put, I just put her. She sent me a picture. I posted it and everything.
And you got the most
that
hits.
is the most viewed video in my whole gallery.
That's where I was trying to make a point, is that people want to see that kind of stuff right now in this generation. Compare to just two guys, looking at each other because they're going to see that. They're going to say, hey, this guy and this old guy and this young guy are doing a podcast. They may be interested in listening, which I hope they are because we did give a lot of education here. And we had some fun. I had a lot of fun. I always have fun with you. I mean, I thank you for this, by the way.
I wanted Jake in here, but of course he bailed out.
Jake who? I'm just kidding. I don't know Jake, but I mean, it's funny when
he has great opinions. He's very he's not afraid of speaking out.
Good.
Okay, and so, but anyways, guys, I think we're gonna end it here.
Okay.
We're gonna end it by this message. Of course, the industry is changing, and I hope it's changing for the better, not for the worse. Of course, like I tell Jesse, compare 1950, 62 right now, it is getting better. And I'll just tell you guys this, that when we're talking about this, we're not bashing on white people. We're not trying to say white people are, destroying the industry. We're just saying that it can be a problem sometimes, and for stories and film to actually kind of give us the right portrayal of how it's supposed to be. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoy the podcast. I hope you guys had some snacks while listening, probably driving or something like that. And again, thanks so much, Jesse. Jesse, thanks so much for coming.
You're always welcome. Man. I look forward to these things.
Jesse, do you have a Facebook or Instagram we can put up there?
No, not yet. I mean,
Okay.
I personally, I'm trying to get through school and do my thing. And,
Okay, no problem.
Actually, if you watch a movie that documentary just came out about Lawrence Phillips.
Okay.
He was a football player. Actually, I got a cameo in there.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a
So
star.
watch out for Jesse.
Yeah, you just see me for 2 seconds interviewing Lawrence Phillips. So if you know who Lawrence Phillips was, he was a football player that died in prison.
Oh, yes, you were
And
telling me.
actually,
Yes.
it's on Netflix and not Netflix. It's on there, and it's a documentary called the Lawrence Phillips story,
Okay.
or something like that.
All right, check it out, guys. And again, thanks so much for watching the Duke Now channel. Stay tuned for the next episode. I'm going to be reviewing Step Brothers. It's a funny movie. I love it. One of my favorite.
Will Ferrell, right?
Yeah, Will
All
Ferrell.
right.
Yes. So thanks so much, guys, and have a great day.